The Government of a Perfect Universe. Chapter 8. The care of human life and happiness is the first and only legitimate object of good government. Thomas Jefferson. 1. Perfect governments are essential to universal order. A government generally makes laws and enforces them upon the people. The laws that govern this universe have always existed. Therefore, there is no need for a governing authority to make new laws for a perfect world that exists in this universe. Although we have never experienced the perfect government during our experience on this earth, part of our foundationalization process was to understand the universal laws and powers that establish order and stability. A universal system of government has always existed. This perfect government maintains the appropriate order in the universe. One of its responsibilities is to ensure that those who become parents/creators have the necessary knowledge and personal requisites needed to perform proper parenting of newly created human beings. This government will never allow a faulty human foundationalization process. The reason why the universe continues forever in order and perfection is because its ultimate life forms, those that control it, are human beings. Those who are responsible for creating other humans do so according to the eternal laws that ensure continual, universal perfection. 2. 3 basic principles of the perfect government. The perfect government is structured around 3 basic principles. These 3 principles establish the universal rule of law that empowers all governing authorities. Power is only used to serve. The first principle and law of perfect government is that government will never be self-serving, or, in other words, it will never act of itself for the sake of its own existence. This government is restricted in its power according to the restrictions that are necessary to ensure that it always abides by this first principle and law. It serves those who benefit from its existence. Those who benefit from its existence are those who give it its power, and this power is only used to serve those who have given it its power. Guaranteed free agency for all whom it serves. The second principle and law of perfect government is that it guarantees the freedom or the free agency of all those it serves. The only restrictions it places on those whom it serves prevents any one of them as an individual from infringing on the free agency of another. It protects all people from having any other being infringe upon their free agency. Again, this government will do nothing that infringes upon the free agency of those whom it serves, except in the defense of individual free will, where one person under its jurisdiction might infringe on the free will of another. Guaranteed opportunity of happiness for all. The third principle of the perfect government is that it provides the means whereby those whom it serves may have an equal opportunity to experience the happiness that each of them, those served, desires. Because it was not the choice of those whom it serves to exist, this government is required to provide those things that are necessary to fulfill the purpose of their creation, which purpose is the fulfillment of their individual happiness. But although the government provides the means whereby those whom it serves might experience happiness, it cannot compel them to use those things which it provides for them. If this government were to compel them to use the means it provides for their happiness, it would then break the second principle and law that empowers it. 3. Worldly governments have always failed us. One thing that we have learned up to this point in our current stage of development upon this earth is that the governments we have produced have never been able to create and ensure equality, peace, and stability. Some of our less advanced societies, compared to the advanced societies found elsewhere in the universe, claim that they support the principle of free agency, but not one of them has guaranteed it unconditionally and equally to all people. Moreover, not one has incorporated all three of the above universal principles into its constitution. A government's quote-unquote constitution is more than just a piece of paper. It is what quote-unquote constitutes the actions and purpose of the government. Many different forms of government have existed on this earth. We have already tried democracies, but they have only created degrees of class and inequality. This is because we always elect and give power to those who use that power to benefit themselves and their own political agendas, thus acting contrary to the first of the three principles outlined above. We have tried communistic governments, where the third principle of providing the basic necessities for all the people equally was corrupted by disregarding the first principle. The leaders of these governments use their power and authority for their own personal gain. Although dictatorships that openly abuse the first principle have achieved quasi-peace and order and have sometimes provided their people with the basic necessities of life, they destroy the free agency of those whom they control. From all of these experiences, we have learned that a proper government that protects everyone's rights equally cannot be controlled by free-willed beings. 4. One human being is appointed as the perfect governing head. To oversee the perfect form of government, one human being is prepared before the implementation of any government in any planetary system. New worlds are created for each new batch of human beings. The person who is chosen to be the quote-unquote overseer of each new planetary system is not foundationalized in the same way as the rest of us. It is this one human being who is given more power and knowledge than any other. The purpose for this ultimate power and authority is to operate the government properly and ensure that the universe continues in the order in which it has always existed. Again, although it is somewhat difficult for a time-based mortal mind to conceptualize, everything that exists has always existed, although at times in different forms of matter. But the order by which these things exist has always existed and has never changed or fluctuated in the slightest. It makes sense that if the order of the universe never changes, then there must be something quote-unquote everlasting that keeps it from changing. That quote-unquote something is the manner in which one advanced human being is foundationalized for each solar system, even the one who oversees what all other human beings do with their free will. 5. Only a special overseer can be trusted with the quote-unquote instructions for life. Although the perfect government has always existed, one can imagine it this way. It could be supposed that through years of negative experience, humans finally realized that they needed to create an ultimate being to rule over them. In this essential human being, They programmed or foundationalized all knowledge that is good and bestowed all power. Doing this ensured that this being would only do good things that are consistent with human happiness. Let's suppose that over millions of years of existence, advanced human beings sat down and composed a list, or better, published a book entitled The Rules and Laws Pertaining to the Creation and Government of Life. The Book of Life, for short. In this book, everything was written that humans have learned through experience is right for humankind, because it is the perfect quote-unquote book of instructions for humanity. It never changes. Nothing can be added to it or taken away to improve what it contains. It is complete and contains the laws and instructions on everything associated with the composition and order of all matter in the human-based universe. It also contains the important keys to absolute technology, or better, the most advanced information that exists. Who could be trusted with this information? A free-willed human being certainly could not. They are created and allowed to set their own sense of what is right and wrong based on a lifetime of experiencing both. On the other hand, could a machine or a robot be created into which the quote-unquote instructions for life could be programmed so that it would only do what it was programmed to do and not make any mistakes? This would seem more reasonable. 6. Free-willed human beings cannot be trusted with power and authority over others. Democracy does not work. A free-willed being who establishes who it is from the exercising of unlimited and uninhibited free agency might one day determine for itself that its happiness should extend beyond maintaining the status quo forever. This being might determine that a little change here and there probably wouldn't hurt anything. In fact, it might create more happiness. The history of human government in our current world should be all the proof we need to understand that it is impossible to trust any one of us or a group of us to treat all people equally and establish the perfect government. None of us can be trusted with power and authority over others, because it is part of our human nature to change our environment to fit our personal preferences. However, the universe is an environment that cannot be modified to adapt or react to the opinions and perspectives of any one individual or of a majority. All opinions and perspectives must be respected and protected. Most people who will one day make one of the planets of this solar system their eventual home are Lunarian and Stellarian, according to their individual desires of happiness. They're humanity type. This means that if we were left alone in this universe to govern ourselves, like we currently are upon this earth, those whom we elected by the voice of the majority would more than likely follow their quote-unquote conscience and establish a government that served them, Stellarian, or one that allowed them to serve themselves, Lunarian. The current democratically elected and supported governments on our earth do not serve the people, but rather are served by the people by the taxes that the people are forced to pay. The citizens are expected to serve these governments through patriotism. Some governments are set up to support their citizens in their individual efforts to enrich themselves and their families. However, these governments set up systems of class based on economic status that afford more opportunity and success to those in the higher classes. no democracy has ever met the important criteria of serving, Solarian, the needs of all the people equally. In an imperfect world, the majority is seldom right. Even in the first ostensibly free democracy of the United States of America, the majority once believed it was right and proper to own other human beings as slaves in order to enrich themselves and to deny women the rights of men. When this so-called quote-unquote free democracy was first established, its majority also believed that the Native American Indians were a lower class people. This justified the stronger majority with the stronger weapons to steal the Native Americans' land and destroy their quote-unquote savage way of life. In more modern times, the majority believes that love shared by two free-willed beings of the same sex is wrong. During a time in our recent history of this earth, a majority of the most respected, refined, and educated people believed that the world was flat. These ignorant ones were the same ones who ran the governments that controlled the people. Unfortunately, we have very little assurance that those who are the most respected, the most refined, and the most educated people of our modern world, those who currently control the governments of the world, are not just as ignorant as the majority of our ancestors. All of these facts show how and why a democracy for and by the voice and vote of the majority of free-willed people will never lead to lasting peace and happiness for all free-willed people equally. The only humanity type that can be trusted to act solely for the benefit of others are those who are Solarian. Ironically, a Solarian servant wouldn't last a day as a leader or an official in any government or in any other institution that controls the lives of human beings in this imperfect world. 7. The perfect overseer must be human. A pre-programmed robot, though eliminating negative human propensities, would be too impersonal as an overseer of humans. How would it ever smile or laugh? Nothing is more endearing to a human being, both now and in the future, than a good sense of humor. How could a robot possibly be programmed to understand us and laugh with us and about us? None of us would ever feel comfortable letting a non-human entity direct us and have complete authority and control over us forever. We would not be happy, nor could we trust such a quote-unquote machine. What if its functions became corrupt and it began to create other machines that were programmed to get rid of humans? There are a few imaginative movies currently of this genre. Our happiness is based on our first experiences, and none of these experiences included following orders or taking directions from a non-smiling, non-interacting, non-human. Considering all, it would appear that our only choice is to have a human being like us rule over us. It is the responsibility of our creators to ensure that such a human being exists and is trained properly so that the person cannot fail in the purpose for which that individual is created, and that one's only purpose is to support and perpetuate the perfect government. The power of the government must rest upon this person's shoulders alone. All power and authority must reside in this person's hands, and this human being must act alone so as not to be influenced by any other motivation or any other being that might cause the person to fail. This human being, however, cannot be free-willed like those whom this person serves. This human will become the one who oversees and forever supports the principles of the perfect government, which in exercising its powers promotes the cause of human happiness throughout the eternal universe. This human being can only accomplish this if the person is foundationalized not to fail. 8. Advanced males are responsible for the perfect government. In advanced human societies, the male's role is different from the female's. The males, fathers, are the ones responsible for the upbringing and instruction of those who will become government officials. They foundationalize these newly created beings to become male like them. Thus, the government overseers throughout the universe are always male in gender. This does not mean that there is an inequality between the genders. There is no inequality, only specialization. The terms female and male are designations given to human beings who have the body parts and ability to create life, as was explained previously. Each has a specialized function to perform in the human foundationalization process. 9. Perfect overseers do not have free will. Although the thought of being an uninhibited, free-willed human being appeals to the sense of individualism in each of us and logically seems to be the right way to foundationalize a human child, one who is reared to become an overseer is foundationalized differently. Therefore, there are advanced parents who do not allow these quote-unquote selected ones to develop a sense of free will. These quote-unquote ones are instructed and nurtured in such a way as to cause them to become exactly like the parent. However, they do not have the free will that the parent has. They have no choice of which humanity type might fulfill their desires of happiness. Their quote-unquote desires of happiness are foundationalized from the very beginning of their creation and provide these specialized humans with joy in serving others. Exactly what their creators/parents do. 10. The overseer is foundationalized without free will. With the help of their female mate, and with premeditation, an advanced male specifically creates a child whom he can teach and instruct in all the power, wisdom, and personal characteristics that he, the father, possesses. The child becomes both a father and a son because his flesh was created by his mother, and a father because his essence is an exact reflection of what his father's has become. One stark difference between the father and the son is that the father became who he is by exercising his free will and making the choice to become a creator. The specialized child, on the other hand, who is being prepared for the responsibility of an overseer, does not develop the willingness and desire to serve from the exercising of its free will. The predestined overseer is prepared from his foundation to perform specific functions determined by his parents/creators. The rest of us were created as genderless beings who would one day make the determination for ourselves. First, if we even wanted a gender, and secondly, whether that gender would be male or female. The predestined overseer was created as a male from the beginning. These overseers are not allowed to experience the exercising of free will like all other children. Their strict upbringing and instruction prepares them for a life of service, like their parents, which gives them no choice of any other lifestyle. Because their foundationalization process is structured from the beginning, they have no other experience upon which to base their future actions. Their quote-unquote happiness alignment becomes the memories of what is instilled upon their essences as they are foundationalized to do what their parents intended for them. The main difference between a child foundationalized to be an overseer and regular, unrestricted human children is that the parents of the overseer intend for the child to become like them, the parents. There are no such intentions or expectations for regular human children. There is no specialized training set forth for the other children. These unrestricted ones are allowed to experience all aspects of differing environments and experiences and choose which one best suits them individually. 11. An overseer is a perfect example of the father. This process of foundationalizing an overseer helps fulfill the advanced male's responsibility towards all the new human beings he creates. He is responsible for the way these beings will be governed forever. He is responsible to ensure that each of his children receives an equal opportunity to become an individual and to be able to express this individuality according to the free-willed nature of each. In other words, our Father/Creator is responsible to ensure that we can do whatever we want as long as what we do does not impede or inhibit what another of his children wants to do. To accomplish this, he creates a perfect example of himself, or better, an overseer of his responsibilities. Because an advanced human male can create endless solar systems in which to place his children, he must make sure there is an overseer for each of his new solar systems, because he himself cannot be present in each one at all times. Each new solar system is created for each group, or better, a batch of newly created humans, along with their own overseer. The new overseer will remain under the advanced male creator's tutelage until the entire batch of children, to which the overseer is assigned, is ready to go to its appointed solar system and begin the second stage of human development in an imperfect world. Once the batch of newly created humans to which we belong was placed in our solar system, our advanced Father was free to prepare another overseer for a new batch of children to be placed in another solar system different from our own. This process continues on forever, worlds without end. 12. Only the overseer can end human existence. Unlike his parents, who are advanced free-willed human beings who were given the choice and decided to become advanced parents, an overseer cannot and will not ever make a mistake by exercising his will. His parents could make a mistake according to their free will, but an overseer does not have the same free will or the capability to do so. Again, he was not given the choice of who he wanted to be as a human. His life was predestined from the beginning to perform a specific purpose. He can be compared to, in some ways, a pre-programmed robot that can only do what its creator has programmed it to do. However, because he is human and was foundationalized around other humans who smile, laugh, have compassion, and experience joy, he has the ability to interact with us and appreciate our perspectives and experiences when we do what we choose to do with our free will. He also has a body and an essence like our own that is capable of sensory fulfillment, which provides happiness to a human being. Only in this way could we ever possibly trust our overseer's supreme judgment to make the right decisions in governing us. He is given all the power and knowledge that is available in the universe. He understands every law that governs the universe and also has the power and capability to do what very few advanced human beings will ever be able to do: disassemble, uncreate a human essence. When our essence was created, a chemical bond occurred between the molecules of its elements that rendered it indestructible. No matter how much energy is forced into the atomic structure of our essence, nothing can cause the bonds to break apart. For this reason, if a person burns to death, no matter how hot the fire, the person's essence remains unaffected by any amount of heat. There is no chemical or any other substance anywhere that can affect the structural makeup of the human essence. Not a single thing in the universe. Nevertheless, the essence can be taken apart by an overseer. This being will have the knowledge and the physical body that will allow him to break the bonds of the elements that make up the essence, but only for a certain, very rare purpose to be discussed in detail in a later chapter. The only reason why he would ever do this is if a free-willed human being chose to end its existence by its own free will. 13. Overseers approve the readiness of a newly created overseer. Although our creators/parents have the knowledge of how an essence can be destroyed or quote-unquote killed, and they can teach an overseer how this is done, they do not have the physical body to do it themselves. The overseers have specialized bodies that are provided only for those who will govern and oversee human society. Just as certain animals have specialized bodies that do things that other animals cannot, an overseer is provided with the body to be able to produce the appropriate command that can destroy the human essence. The final say of who receives the type of body that has the ultimate power to destroy a human essence is the quote-unquote overseer, who is responsible for what each father does. Every free-willed human being has an appointed overseer. They always have. They always will. The father's overseer ensures that those whom the fathers prepare for this power are properly trained and ready to perform the important responsibilities correctly. So, although fathers prepare the overseers, only other overseers can approve the final granting of overseer power and responsibility. Because only an overseer has the power and knowledge of a quote-unquote overseer, it is one of his responsibilities to create the bodies of all of the overseers created under his jurisdiction. The human essence placed in the male body is just like everyone else's. The only difference is the way that it is foundationalized, as has been explained. The body, however, has much greater capabilities than any free-willed human being has. 14. Creators cannot destroy a human they create. There are two main reasons why advanced human creators, who are not overseers, are not allowed to destroy a human essence after they have created it. First, because of free will, these beings can do what they want, when they want. A quote-unquote mistake is the exercising of free will that does not lead to what is best for the individual or for the whole of humanity. And because advanced creators were foundationalized differently than an overseer and have this free agency, they could make a mistake. They usually don't, but it is possible. Therefore, for the rest of humanity to feel safe and secure forever, we are assured that the ultimate power resides only in the hands of those who cannot misuse it and who cannot make a mistake. The second reason is because of the compassion of these free-willed advanced human parents. Just as it would be very hard for any normal person to kill another person, especially one's own child, an advanced parent would have all kinds of free-willed justifications as to why their child should be given another chance or shown compassion and mercy. Justice can only be properly rendered by those who have no emotional ties to the person to whom justice is enacted, and who follow the law in spite of their personal feelings. Though an overseer can relate to our experience, because he is required to go through the vicissitudes of an imperfect world along with the rest of us, his conditioning ensures that he will never make a nepotistic or biased judgment. 15. An overseer sees and treats all people equally. An overseer is isolated from all other people during his foundationalization process. He does not create bonds of friendship, close associations, or any familial bonds except with the person, male or female, who will become his partner. To him, all human beings are exactly the same in relation to himself. He exists so that he can serve all human beings equally. He exists to make sure each of them realizes the purpose for which they were created, to be happy, and to ensure that none of them impedes or inhibits the happiness of another. He learns how to do this by being around his father the entire time he is being foundationalized. He watches how his father serves others. He has very limited access to his other siblings, and when he does, it is only in the capacity of figuring out what would be the best way to serve them, as would his father. Because he was foundationalized to a certain level of understanding and development by his mother, an overseer does have the ability to be a good partner to a female or another male, with whom he will be able to enjoy the fullness of joy through human companionship and sexuality. He will not be alone forever. He would not be happy alone, because there has never been a moment in his existence when he was not around either his mother or his father. Thus he has a need for either a female or a male partner. Because overseers do not create new humans, there is no requirement that his partner be a female mother. Some overseers choose male partners. In any case, each overseer shall have the one who brings him the most happiness. 16. No mistakes will ever be made by the perfect governor. The greatest aspect of knowing that only one person in our existence will be able to govern our lives is the assurance that our guarantee of life and happiness will remain secure forever, under his watchful eye and guidance. The one created and prepared specifically for this purpose will never let us down. He will always be there. He will be the only human in the universe who will have any authority and power over us. We will never have to worry about him exercising this authority and power over us unjustly. Summary: there is no way that free-willed beings can exist in peace and happiness if they do not have some aspect of control and restriction placed on their free will. The purpose of a perfect government is to exercise the appropriate power and authority over us within proper parameters of this control and restriction. This ensures that we are all treated equally and are all able to fulfill the purpose of our creation by individualizing and benefiting from and enjoying our existence the way we want to. A true and right government would never tell us what to do or establish laws that in any way would take away our right to do what we want to do. It exists to protect our rights from everyone else in the universe, including those who created us, and provides us with the necessary opportunities to pursue our personal happiness, whatever our quote-unquote desires of happiness might be. A single, powerful human governing head is necessary for the continual peace and order of the solar system over which he is appointed. This ensures continued order in the entire universe. The order by which the universe is maintained has always been the same and will always be the same. An appointed overseer ensures this. In later chapters, we will discuss more of his role and how he governs and interacts with us in our own solar system.